We had another question inside the community, this group call that we had, which was, how do I get a bit more consistent? I'm feeling like I'm having my ups and downs. When I have a really good experience and a good conversation, a great experience with a girl, I feel up. And then a couple of days later, I feel down. When I get really, really good in business, have a great month, and then I get down. So he's basically, his dopamine was in his sense of self, and his value was being placed upon external things rather than himself. And that's a very common thing. And in fact, I think traditionally everyone has a bit of that. It's not as if I'm going to come out here and be like, yeah, I'm absolutely perfect. I know when I start to get a lot of money from a lot of the ventures that I do, I feel great. I feel fantastic when you get girl validate. Like, you feel good when you get accepted and things are working. And it's also like, I think you feel great. I think you feel those dopamine because, a sense of life that you have a lot of those things that don't go your way. So it's funny that you actually get the dopamine from the things, and your self-worth and your value as a man is being placed on something that can be taken away. Like, you have so much time where you're not getting that thing, that when you do get that thing, it feels great. And I think that's very hard to get out of that cycle and get out of that loop. But I did say a couple of different things that I recommend him to do. And a couple of the different things within the loops and the cycles of emotions, of ups and downs. And some guys can feel that they're coming up and they're on the up and up, and they're getting better, and they're getting their more value. They're going through the principles that we're teaching in social life mentoring, and especially in the 7 pillars, they're seeing their numbers and their stock and their value in themselves increase, and they get addicted to that. And then when it's not up there and it goes down a little bit, they start to get down on themselves, and they don't understand the fluctuations, not only emotionally, physically, spiritually. In life there's always going to be fluctuations. It's a great book, Reality Transurfing by Vladimir, I can't even remember, but Vlad, I always remember. And they talk about the pendulum. The pendulum always swings, whether it's good, bad, left, right, up, down, whatever it is, valuable, non-valuable. And so I talked to him about that there could be certain things in his life that are triggers that are happening now, or let's just say a couple of days ago, that rear its head today. And one of the ones that we really pinpointed on was his scrolling on social media, especially Reels, especially Twitter, all these different things, and seeing the great lifestyle and seeing the lifestyle that he wants. And he's able to get those things, but he just doesn't know the way to be able to get those things. That's why he's in SLM, to be able to get them. And I talked to him that I said, look, if you consume hundreds, 100, 200, 300 reels, you'll find within a certain amount of time you'll start to get depressed and start to get down. And he was like, how did you know? That's exactly what I did. I was like, well, welcome to me being Houdini. No, I just realized that what I did was, one day I sat down and I was like, why do I feel depressed? And I had a look, and I was watching a lot of TikToks and a lot of Instagram reels and everything. And I thought, well, I've been consuming a hell of a lot of social media, and I know that's very much a contrasting point. And so what I did was, I told him that I actually took that information. I was like, I bet you it's social media. And when I said that, I was like, I bet you it's social media. One of the cool thing was that I then used that. I was like, the next day I was like, all right, I'm going to watch hundreds of reels. And so I did. And then that afternoon I felt depressed, and I was like, yo, okay. So then the next day I didn't watch any of them. I didn't use my phone. The way I did it was, I purposefully didn't charge it. So I had like 10% battery the whole day, and I couldn't watch any of the reels. And I was like, I was going out, so I literally left the house with 12% battery, couldn't watch the reels, just looking out, all the places, looking out the window. And what I found was I was a lot less depressed. And I was like, wow, that's a big thing. So then again, I used it, watched a bunch of reels, and I was like, okay, this contrasting thing of like comparing yourself against everybody else around the world, seeing them all win, seeing them all do sort of things, that even those people in that right second are not doing those things. It was just a mashup of all their life experience in this one reel. That I realized that this comparing isn't good. There's a real good element to it, but there's also a really bad element to it. So I said, really work on. And he was like, well, I was eating a bunch of sugar. I was not eating healthy. I was watching reels. And again, we all do that. It's no problem there. But he was just finding, if he's very sensitive to that, he understood that, okay, well, if I don't want to feel these emotions that I'm feeling, it's not just because of what life is right now. It's over the last couple of days, I haven't been doing the correct things. to be that masculine man on his purpose, on his edge, and he's finding that in his work it's dipping, in his motivation, in his momentum, in all these different things. So I said, like, you know, find what it is, find what that common pattern is, that parallel, and be able to get rid of it real quick, and you'll find that, you know, by getting rid of this, you're going to get rid of this feeling as well. So that was a cool little thing that we came through. And then the other sort of things that I told him about, I was like, look, charity work is always helpful, going out and doing charity work, because you've got a purpose, you're doing something for greater than you. Sometimes a lot of these entrepreneurs, they come into SLM, they feel that they're just doing this, it's just numbers on a screen, they're people on Zoom, they just don't feel like they have a purpose, they don't feel they're having this connection. And I'm like, of course, because everything doesn't mean anything. You've got money this month, you don't have money this month. You're talking to this many people, you're talking to this many people, but really you're in a room by yourself the whole time. So it's this whole kind of collective cycle that a lot of these entrepreneurs go through, and they just don't have a bigger purpose other than themselves. And sure, they might give some money to their family, they might help their brothers and sisters out, they might, you know, whatever it is, get a girlfriend, and then they feel like they're just doing it for people that might be a little bit ungrateful, and you know, then they don't know how much I'm working for all of it, and then you get in this massive cycle. But given your time and energy and to charity work is it makes you feel better than just I'm a number, I'm just my business and that's it. It makes you feel like you got a bigger purpose. I also said that was a specific thing that you can do to make yourself feel better.